sweet cheeks. Welcome to the Mandcave, the only podcast hosted by two best friends and world travelers with nothing in common except their name. I'm Mandy Fabian.
And I'm Mandy Kaplan, and I actually can't finish the intro.
What?
Yeah, I was just watching a video about a cat named Captain Pickles, and I need to go. I need to.
While I was talking?
No, right before we logged in. I need to go and see what happened with Captain Pickles and if he and his new kitten brother, Garfield, are going to be best friends. Because that's who I am and what I'm about.
Oh, my God. You know what? I'm really glad that you're bringing this up because I feel like every friendship should have like a review process. And I want you to know, like, I mean, I love you and I love your cat fixation, but as we get older, I'm going to need like maybe around age 65, 70, we have like a review. I don't know if I can go full crazy cat lady with you into your old age. Do you know what I mean? The fact that you're young and vital and sexual right now makes me feel excited about your...
I've already gone full crazy cat lady. And...
Yeah, but I can... I know.
And I'm taking your daughters with me. So...
Oh, God.
Kiss them goodbye.
Thank God Patrick is allergic. Yeah, I know. No, they love kitties too, but they still prefer dogs. I'm hanging on to that, you know?
Well,
that
sums us up, right? I'm a cat person. You're a dog person.
Why not?
Grab a couch and let's get to it.
Cut this shit.
We had a week off and I missed you.
We did. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
We are different. No, kidding. I enjoyed being in Texas so much. We swam in one river, but it turns out that river goes through like 4 different towns.
Oh.
And so we swam in the Guadalupe River like 3 times. We did 2 rope swings. We saw 1 venomous water snake. And we did it.
This totally defines our differences. I would never swim in a river. I would not be like, oh, rope swings and venomous snakes, sign me up. I was staying in a hotel in Times Square, surrounded by, luxuries and amenities and just conveniences galore.
I know. So, I mean, but I saw family. We drank margaritas and had Mexican food. I had so much Mexican food that for the first time in my life, like, it was so crazy. I swelled up so much because of the chips and queso, which queso is a breakfast food in Texas.
Oh.
Yeah. So like and also, by the way, you just dip chips in this thing called jalapeno ranch, which is really just ranch dressing that's spicy. Uh-huh. So we were eating melted cheese and ranch dressing, not so different from you. I feel like this is a thing you'll enjoy when we go to Texas together.
Yep.
But like so swollen up. Now I'm a normal size again, but you couldn't believe 3 days ago, like I couldn't fit in any of my clothes. I was round. It's crazy. It's crazy how much salt.
How did you get rid of it in 3 days? Did you do one of those fasts? I know you do those. You drink juice and...
No, I
cleanse,
checked myself. No, I didn't even have to cleanse. All I had to do was stop eating chips and queso and ranch dressing 3 times a day because it was salt.
Mm-hmm.
All of the Mexican food and the refried beans and everything is so salty that it just like makes you puff up.
Sure.
So anyway, yeah. But you were so that was the excitement. The salt, the water retention was the big highlight of my trip. But you went to the capital of the world,
our nation's capital.
Yes,
it was fantastic. Loved it. Speaking of food, got to one of Jose Andres's newer fusion restaurants called China Chilcano, which was Chinese, Japanese, and Peruvian. It was very, very good. And Casey's at a fun foodie age where he's like trying all different stuff. So that was great.
Very cool.
We did the Lincoln assassination tour. So like you're on foot and the guy tells you the whole story of, and over in that building, there was a meeting going on, a secret meeting, and the police came and blah, blah. Like it was very cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were wicked classy. And then went to New York City and we saw Phantom. And I cried and cried and cried. And Casey loved it. He said it changed his life. But I couldn't stop crying. And here's the problem. I'm crying because Phantom is moving and beautiful and powerful, and it makes you appreciate theater on so many levels. Like, I don't want to see a movie of Phantom of the Opera. It has to be in the theater with those voices. It still works on every level. I loved it. But then I got over that, and then I couldn't stop crying because I miss theater and I miss doing theater. And what if I had stayed in New York and never stopped pursuing theater? So I'm announcing my retirement from the Mandcave and from you and from Los Angeles. And I'm going back to NYC to see if I can't finally play Christine Daae, because I can still hit that high E.
Look, of course. Listen, can we just give it up already and like move to some town and run a theater company together? Like, we'll have kids, we'll do the kid theater, and then we'll do our grown-up theater. Like, let's just do that.
I would love it.
I don't even know why. Yeah. It's so funny that you say that. Oh my God, we're having a very genuine moment here. But it does that, right? When I go back to New York, I'm like, whoa, this was the time when I was completely chasing being an actress, and now I've totally switched to being like a director and a writer. And Texas was a similar thing because I grew up there. You get this really kind of nostalgic, like, oh my God, I used to just like swim in rivers. I know that's not as exciting to you, but to me, it was like, oh yeah, that's right. I was on a horse for 8 hours a day, like just kind of dreaming and pretending. And there wasn't a lot of hustle. And I kind of liked the slower pace. It was good for me.
Good. It makes you go sliding doors, right? It makes you think, well, what if I stayed here?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I'm here to say, like, I'm not blowing smoke. You are so talented. Like, I've very often thought there, and I happen to think that I'm talented too. Like, we're not different in that way. But, I very often thought like, well, LA is just, it's like the Olympics, right? Not everybody gets to win the gold medal. There's plenty of people that are really, really good, but it's like fractions of a second. And if you had a cold that day or like whatever coach you had, like there's so many factors that, lead to whether or not you get to do the thing you love. And I think that's different. I envy people who are in smaller communities that are like, yeah,
right.
I wrote a play and I put it up and we did this musical because you can.
Well, that's why I started Miscast 11 years ago. It really was my way of continuing to do what I love on my own terms, in my own way. It's not making me famous. It's not making me a dime as I give it all to charity, but it feeds my soul and I get to do what I love. So I'm so glad I have that. I think I would be a much unhappier person if I didn't have Miscast, if I didn't still get to do what I love.
Well, it's so funny. Like when we went to New York for my birthday and saw all that theater, like we had that crazy, like, let's see plays. And I go see theater all the time. Like I'm a bit of a monster about it. And I actually looked into going to like graduate school.
Whoa.
to direct theater. Yeah. Because like I love it so I know I'm with you. I'm just saying I'm with you and I love it and I wish that I could do it all the time. We could probably do it in LA,
Well, I am doing it. Yeah. And you're doing the next Miscast, June 12th.
That's true.
So we're doing it.
That's true. That's true.
I wonder why we're having all these deep, insightful talks.
It's interesting because this week, this week I made Mandy watch Atlas of the Heart, Brené Brown's show on HBOMax, which essentially is a episodic version of her book, Atlas of the Heart, which it's a written book and then it's also an audiobook. And I was listening to the audiobook before we watched this. I have listened to some of her audio stuff. Here's what I'm going to say. Okay. She basically, Atlas of the Heart, basically, from what I can understand, it feels almost alphabetical, but she basically just takes emotions and then talks about them in her great Brené Brown way. But this one feels like she's almost giving definitions of these emotions, and she doesn't go a whole lot deeper. It's interesting. I'm going to say I am such a fan of Brené Brown. Her books have changed my life. Rising Strong, Dare to Lead, all of those books, like I can't put them down. They're page turners for me. But this show felt super aimless. And I'm going to be honest, I had been listening to the book and the book was feeling a little aimless for me. That said, we're doing it for a book club. Wasn't my suggestion, by the way. was somebody else's suggestion. But everybody else is like, oh my God, this woman speaks to my soul. And they're getting all the Brené Brown amazingness. So I just assumed we would too. But I'm going to be honest, it's a little flat for me. It's not giving me the juicy juicies that I like. You hate the word juicy, don't you?
I'm going to vomit all over my microphone. And then I'm going to put my microphone under your pillow, covered in vomit, for saying that. And I think Fandy Nation is with me. I think everybody just went, no, Fabian.
Nobody else hates that word like you do.
It was,
go ahead, though.
God, you used it twice and put an S on the second one. Oh, there's so much wrong with that. Okay, so this is I've heard about Brené Brown from you for years. And I have made fun of Brené Brown because I am an awful person and I like to torment you and mock all you love. So it's going to shock you to hear. I loved this.
You did not.
I did not. I'm lying. It's garbage. She's garbage. Okay. It's garbage. The title. Can we start with the title? Atlas of the Heart makes me want to beat her garbage up in a dark alley. And this is
no.
I had the thought. Don't be mean, Mandy Kaplan. Don't be mean because this really means a lot to Fabian. And then that's how I decided to start. I'm sorry. I'm an awful person. I don't know how you put up with me.
I don't either. And I'm so surprised because you are so good at usually talking about feelings and stuff that I'm surprised that this work makes you so let's beat her up in a dark alley.
It's because of, that's for different reasons. I fully respect that I'm a person who is very comfortable talking about feelings, exploring them, understanding them, having my feelings, letting myself have my feelings, letting others have their feelings. That's all very natural to me. So this feels like a doy. I get it. Everything she says, I'm like, obviously, a doy. It just doesn't, there's no, and you just said this doesn't go deep. This names things and then moves on to name another thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this does.
But, the vibe of the filming of this was so LuLaRoe. And she has a tiny little audience of sycophants gathered. And she walks in at Oprah, right? Heavily made up and teased and sprayed and denimed. And she walks in and right away I was like, this feels culty. It feels phony. That's not the vibe I ever got from listening to you talk about her. From reading her books, you had such meaning from her. She was never selling anything to you, right?
No. This was so weirdly, to me, they were like, Brené Brown is so popular, we should try to make her into a TV show. And it didn't translate. This is not her vibe at all. She is like a kickback with your boots up, Texas, I'm going to chat with my friends. The whole made up thing and the way that she's talking to the audience and engaging, it felt very false to me.
I'm so glad you said that because I wrote, it feels like she's working so hard at being just like us, right? I didn't buy it. I didn't like her energy.
I think she's not a performer.
Mm-hmm.
She's a research scientist. You know what I mean? So I think she's actually way more comfortable with her doing her data and research and writing her books, which is an isolated thing. I think you put her in front of people and ask her, not that she's not good with people, but it felt very much forced into they tried to make it like an Oprah or a light colored femmy talk show kind of thing. And it just didn't. And I don't know how you're supposed to have a bright, excited, let's all talk conversation about this shit. This is, and I will say also, I agree. This book didn't do anything. There are books that are Rising Strong, which is about recovering from a horrible thing in your life, coming back from trauma and how we do that. Dare to Lead is about having hard conversations in a workplace, in a setting where you have to acknowledge people's acknowledge the thing that's not being spoken,
mm-hmm.
right? The elephant in the room
mm-hmm.
and taking it out, looking it over and figuring out how do we serve our goal the best way we can and all work together as a team while also being acknowledged and not, glossing over anything. It takes dysfunction and thrashes it usually. And this is sort of just there's this emotion and that emotion and here's a movie clip.
She named emotions. She starts off by saying, and the word I want to say is infomercial. This reeks of an infomercial. The way they shot it with the audience oohing and eyeing and clapping at everything she's saying. She's like, am I right? Who's felt that? You felt it, girlfriend. I know you have. It was all very like she was trying to sell, she was trying to sell beauty products, and I will watch those infomercials because I believe, I'm like, I can look like Cindy Crawford if I just buy Meaningful Beauty, which is made with all natural ingredients. I'm such a sucker. I don't actually buy the things, but I Google them, and then you Google them and you're like, this product doesn't work. Read 10,000 reviews from angry purchasers, and then I stop. But I can watch an infomercial. This felt like an infomercial. Now, she wasn't selling anything, which is nice. She wasn't saying buy my books, or it didn't have any selling aspect, but it had that vibe. And she starts off by saying, I'm going to review 30 emotions. And I wrote 30 emotions. Oh, brother. Like and she even is like, do you all look for emojis when you're texting? Right. And it's about, you could be happy or sad. It was just like, it felt like we were in her kindergarten class.
Yeah, I agree. It felt really pedestrian. And I think it's really hard to do a TV show about these things, like she talks about like, we're going to go deep and we're going to go hard in this, and you're going to be uncomfortable and you're never going to be able to unhear this, and it's going to be a challenge, but it will change you and you'll only be different. And I was like, okay. And I got emotional hearing that. I'm like, oh, okay, she's going to reveal some real things here that are going to be, that we're going to tangle with. And then she never delivered on that. Mm-mm. It was so weird. There was no point to it.
Right. There was no there. How many episodes did you watch?
Well, I watched 2, but it was only because I thought, well, maybe it gets better with the second one.
Because at the end of the first one, the only one I watched, because I'm smart, she was like, okay, and then next episode and in future episodes. And I was like, so was this just like an introduction? A 48-minute introduction?
No, I know. And honestly, I think that what she said at the end of the first episode made me go, oh, well, that sounds interesting. Maybe that's in the second episode. But then it wasn't. It was this super weird thing of like, I'm going to show you this clip. That's rage, huh? And you're like, what are you saying? You're showing me movie clips and telling me that we have emotions. There was no, we don't have to talk about it very long because it was kind of just a real misfire. And I'm sad because Brené Brown has some really cool, like really great stuff. And for people like me who did not have any language regarding this and struggle with it, she keeps saying the thing that, we all need to hear and can only hope to act, like to follow her instruction, The fact that she even gives you ideas that feel different than the things that go, the voices in your head are really helpful.
Right.
But
I want to go deep if I can.
Okay.
And I do have a clip for Pete. Pete, if you could play in the first episode, minute 7:38 seconds to minute 8:24.
Our connection with other people is only as solid and deep as our connection to ourselves. In order for me to be connected to you, I have to know who I am. I have to be connected to myself. And I think what we end up doing is we end up desperately searching for connection with other people when we have no idea who we are. I mean, this brings me back to dating in my early 20s. How many of you know the dating in your early 20s grind? Yes? Yeah. For me, it was, hey, what music do you listen to, Brené? I don't know. What music do you listen to? Oh, me too. I love that band. What's that band? Okay, listen to that band. Where do you want to eat tonight? I don't know. What do you want to eat? Oh, my favorite's Italian too. That's so crazy. We have so much in common. And now, like, I'm in my 50s. And so now those couples, what goes on inside their house is, hey, I don't want to eat that shit. I never liked it from the beginning. And if you put on that album one more time, but it's your favorite album. I never liked that group. I just liked you.
The Fandies just heard her saying how we can all pretend to be somebody we're not with a guy. and she's doing it in her I'm just like you way. And she's like, oh, I love to eat there. I don't really like that shit. Oh, pretending to be somebody she's not. And I remember learning that about myself, that for 3 months in every relationship I had with guys, I would not be myself. Now, not necessarily pretending I liked sports and I don't, or I never did that, but I would pretend something didn't really upset me, or pretend I was, really laid back and didn't love to follow a schedule and make lists. And right, I would pretend to be someone different. And then after 3 months, I would cut bait and run because I was like, I can't keep this up anymore. And the deep thing I want to say is I never did that with Jer. I always was like, I can be myself. I can let you know I'm upset by something. I can, as he knows, I can run my tight ship with my schedules and my plans and my nagging. And that's like how you found the right person, right? You're not pretending.
Absolutely. You got to find the one that you can wear down to a nub,
And I hope you do. I really hope you do. Speaking of your husband, I turned on my TV when I was doing dishes, and there he was doing an interview for Better Call Saul. It was very
which is premiering. Yeah. Well, by the time this airs, it will have premiered last week. Yeah. It's really, I got to say, I rewatched a trailer. That is a beautiful show. Way better than Atlas of the Heart.
Just saying the name. And it sounds like a bad country song or a bad country Western movie with a bad song called Atlas of the Heart.
Yeah. Well, last episode we reviewed, Judd Apatow, who's one of my favorites. Like, I love his movies usually, even though they can be a little heavy-handed. And this is, Brené Brown is one of my favorites. And, I would never watch another TV show of hers. I just don't think they did it right. I don't think she's a TV. This shouldn't be on television. Right. Or if it is, they should do one of her better books, like The Dare to Lead. I would love to see like like a documentary of them working out this shit in the workplace. But I also find that television generally kind of tries to dumb things down or repeat things, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, sure. As do we on this podcast. Well,
what was that?
My last thought was, and you've said it so perfectly, I didn't get the mission statement. And I said, she feels like Cliff Clavin at the bar, just yammering about all the things he knows. Like, and another thing, right? Like that was my impression of Brené Brown from Atlas of the Hat. So there you go.
Yeah. This is the weird thing. Like, even those experts that she had, like, they say some good things, but again, I don't know. Even honestly, I went and looked at like quotes from Brené Brown's books on a website, and they were good. Those just taken out of context, you go, there you go. Mm-hmm. That's a message that people need to hear. But just sort of doing the definitions of emotions, it wasn't enlightening or helpful in any way. And that's the point of her stuff.
Right. Well, I hope that Curtis, the Fandy who suggested this, I hope he suffered through some of it as well. Because I am that vindictive.
Well, he didn't have to talk about it on the podcast, so he probably, watched 3 minutes. I could tell he was a true Brené Brown fan, that I don't think anybody who's a real fan is going to enjoy this. Her TED Talk, you should watch her TED Talk. I will assign it if you don't watch it on your own. Her TED Talk is actually really interesting because it is the research and it talks about, but here's the thing. Why does other people's shame and vulnerability make you so dismissive? You know what I mean? Think about what it's doing for other people.
I'm not dismissive of other people's emotions. And I said, I understand why people would want to investigate and explore their emotions. It's just not for me.
So someone talking about vulnerability is something that you're comfortable with and you don't think a thing about it. Well, then, do you not does it trigger you in a way? Like it makes you uncomfortable?
Not at all. You've cried to me many times.
Oh, no. But I mean, if someone talks about vulnerability and it's something that you just kind of go, yeah, that's the way. It doesn't enlighten you or make you think.
No.
It just sort of is.
I'm too surface. I have my emotions, and I guess I don't. I have them, and I accept that I have them, and I don't want to investigate why I have them. I'm not that deep that's honest. I never liked philosophy. I'm listening to a philosophy book for my book club, which it is a straight philosophy book, but disguised as a comedy book. And it actually can be funny. Michael Schur, who created The Good Place and Parks and Rec, I think.
Oh, how interesting. He wrote a philosophy book?
He did. And he studied philosophy for years. And he's just making light of it but really going into it and dumbing it down for someone like me. And I hate it because I would just rather just live life and not investigate that deeply. I'm embarrassed to admit that, but I'm not that deep.
I don't think you should be embarrassed to admit it. I think that's really interesting. Like, I mean, I think that's cool that doesn't, I'm being dead serious. Like I think that there's a lot of people like that don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a thing. It's probably, I don't know. Who knows what it is? What makes people, unfortunately, I think what makes it, makes people want to understand it more deeply, which I don't even know if that helps, but it's probably trauma.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Sure. And, if you need the answers for something, and, then you want to investigate and you want to dig deep.
And I think also the reason her shame and vulnerability TED Talk got so much, it got like millions and millions of views right away, was because it put a word, and she does say this in the first episode, is she talks about language, putting language to these things,
mm-hmm.
right? Because that, for me, I will say, feeling like such a freak as an artist, as a person, not being afraid to express anything that's going on, unless I'm on stage, I guess, with a microphone. But like being afraid of what people are going to think and all that, like the vulnerability you feel just by being a person on this planet and feeling like you could be attacked at any minute. Her putting language to that is like, oh, that's actually a strength.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a thing that makes you empathetic to other people who are going through things like that. So you can actually look at every person who's acting, horribly, and you can put a lens on it that's like, right, well, we all are human beings. Like there's always something that colors everybody's what they're doing.
If there's a bully at school, I'm going to say to Casey, well, let's think about why they're acting that way and behaving that way and what's going on at home for them. And Brené Brown says you can't walk in other people's shoes. And I disagree. Like, didn't she say that? Or am I quoting the wrong thing? She said that.
I think she meant like when you're listening to someone talk, you shouldn't assume that that you know what they're going through.
Right.
But
she also says, like, as a white privileged woman, she can't say, I genuinely understand what it's like to be discriminated against because of my skin.
Yes.
Even though I've been discriminated against. Right. But we can get a deeper understanding when we think about why the bully, that fucking kid. If
you hear us, are you a Fandy? Because we're coming for you.
Get me in a dark alley with that little shit. And he was awful to Casey and to everybody. And I would always say, let's just think about what his life must be like at home and why he acts this way at school and at camp and just on the streets. Oh, so yeah, I am totally willing and wanting to empathize and put myself in other people's shoes and investigate when it applies. I guess I'm too selfish. When it applies to me or my child, I'll investigate all day long. I'm not afraid of emotions at all. I would just rather be singing and dancing.
That's a great way to investigate your emotions.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah, I think it also, it's kind of boring. It really is. Nobody really wants to talk about it ever, do they?
Yes. And, as I was watching Brené Brown, this was my only experience with her. And I was like, this is just not for me. Although I love being there for my friends and investigating, if you call me and say, I have a problem, or you call me crying, I want to dig deep and help and be there. but just not in a clinical way. And, and I don't want to have to read a book about it. I just want to figure it out. And I'm a problem solver, which makes it hard sometimes to be a listener. That's a huge fault of mine. You're crying. I'm desperate to make you feel better. So I start with, well, have you tried this? Maybe you could do this. And I need to, I'm always telling myself, just listen. Don't offer helpful hints. Just listen. But so
that's really hard.
I remember reading years and years and years ago that men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing. And I aligned with the men completely and totally. You just want to fix. You want to dive in and fix. You don't want to just talk about something in circles. You just want to, and that's what I'm guilty of.
You know what? I think actually a lot of self-help is like that though. So actually, I mean, it that whole like, you're a badass and, a lot of this, although I will say like, because Brené Brown's actually super masculine, I think, like she's very research minded, which is probably why she doesn't come off as, I don't know, but she's pretty research minded and there's data, which is sort of like a lot of people, it helps them, put a framework around this thing that's very, could be very overwhelming.
Right.
We won't ever have to watch it again.
Yay!
Because they will never make another one again.
I don't think so.
Mandcave is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Pete Wright. Thank you, Pete. Sorry, Pete. Music by Ian Post.
And we are available on all platforms. But if you are on Apple Podcasts right now, please pause the podcast, give us 5 stars, and write your review like KP Snacks did this week. We got a new review. It helps people find us, and it validates us in ways we can't validate ourselves.
If you want to go tell Curtis that he never should have recommended this, and I'm sorry, Curtis, I'm throwing you under the bus.
Woo.
Not really. I probably would have picked it anyway, all on my own. You can go to Discord and join us on the community channel, or you can become a Fandy, and you can, which is a Mandcave member, and you can join us on the super secret members only channel. How do you become a Fandy? So easy. Go to mandcave.com/Fandy. It's like $5 a month. You can support us. You get cool shit like, bonus content, birthday messages. We do all sorts of special things, even prom pictures.
Yes.
So, which everybody wants.
Yes. And there's so much swag and merch and love it all. Wear it with pride. So go to mandcave.com/merch and get t-shirts and totes and coffee cups. My current favorite is the Only Fandies. I'm obsessed. I proudly wore my sweatshirt on my trip. So please support us so we can keep doing this because we love it and we love you.
I have a game for you.
Yes.
Although I gotta say, it was really it was so unpleasant. I was so disappointed. I was falling asleep during this thing. I couldn't make any sense of it. I wanted to say something meaningful or fruitful and there was just nothing. So it was really hard to make a game about something that was so serious and kind of like not that interesting. But I think I came up with something. Are you ready?
Always.
Okay, because I think of you as a person who's very good at talking about this stuff. This is Are You Better Than Brené?
Always.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready? So you're going to give me your Brené Brown, but the Mandy Kaplan version of advice.
Okay.
On real situations.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, you're doing a podcast with someone who's really bossy. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. All right. Your very best friend in the world. This is true.
Yes.
Ready? Your very best friend in the world has terrible taste in men.
Yes.
Okay, stop it. Don't speak. That was 100 years ago and I'm married now, so just stop.
Yep.
All right. She is constantly bringing her awful new boyfriend to every wedding, birthday, and brunch. This could be numerous new boyfriends, but it's always awful.
Okay.
It's so painfully obvious that she can do better.
Yeah.
But what can you do? What would Mandy say?
Mandy, 20, 30 years ago, would have pretended to like him, tried to find something to like, very much so. Mandy today would sit let's call it hypothetically you down and say, you can do better. And I'm worried about your choices. This guy's an asshole.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You really would say that?
No time to lose. Like I can't waste time on this planet. Yeah.
So what if your friend is like, go fuck yourself. I'm having a good time and we won't come to your parties.
I would say that breaks my heart. And I hope you know I'm coming from a place of loving you. And I hope that, I hope someday you can let me back in.
Oh,
But I have to be honest with my friends.
Wow.
Yeah. It is.
Okay.
It has been a problem. I mean, I have friends who come crying when, he's so awful and here's everything and here's the truth of what's going on behind closed doors. And I'm like, you got to get out of there. That's not a good situation. He's awful. And then they make up. And then I'm left on the outs. But it's okay because I know they'll come when they need me.
That did happen to me one time. Yep.
Yeah.
Where I said, full out, you can do better. And then they got married.
Yep. Sorry, Jer. She's telling the truth now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Good. All right. Good advice.
Hey, thanks.
All right. Ready?
Oh, my God. And if anybody out there follows my advice, please reach out and let me know how it goes. I love this stuff so much. At Mandy _Kaplan _Clavens. Slide into my DMs. That's what people say. Slide into my DMs and tell me okay, I told my friend I hate her husband or whatever. Like, just go forth and do these things, people. Your lives will be better.
Okay. I want to go deeper on this because I just want to go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you practice what you're going to say? Do you get like a role playing person? Like how in the fuck what do you take them to lunch? Do you have drinks first? Like how do you even get to that point in the conversation? Like how do you not worry that they're going to storm out and never speak to you again? Like you could lose one of your closest friends.
Well, yeah. Yes. And I have. But I have to speak my truth. I think back to when I was dating bad guys and, and
did people say stuff to you?
One friend did. And at the time I was so angry at her. And I still to this day admire that she said, this guy is unhealthy for you. I don't like him.
Wow. That's great.
Yep.
Huh. See, I really think the truth sets you free and the truth is the most valuable thing, but I don't think I walk my walk. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm too terrified that I'm going to say the thing that makes people hate me. Okay, something to work on. So do you do a role play or do you write it down first or you just go with your gut?
No, it always comes out organically, right? They're like, oh my God, what do I do? He said this and he did this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't tell you what to do, but if it were me, I would get the fuck out of there and I would not be talked to that way. And it just comes out.
Okay. Let me reframe this. What if the friend is not complaining about their asshole boyfriend?
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I've never. That is not a thing in my life right now. There's nobody in my life who's with somebody that I'm dying to just be like, I just need to tell you I hate your spouse or your significant other. So I don't think I would speak up. If it's unhealthy, I will speak up. If my friend is being hurt or harmed, even if they're unaware of it, I will speak up. If it's just that that lady's a real brat and I don't like being around her, then I wouldn't speak up.
Okay, that's a good, okay. So if the friend complains, it's all systems go.
Yep.
I appreciate that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right. This is a good one. This is kind of a gimme because you're the queen of this. You've been dating someone for 3 months and have had lots and lots of sex with them all over the place.
Sure.
But you know it's not going to be someone you want to date permanently. What do you say to them and how?
I'm the queen of this. What
I know. This is a gimme.
I'm asking. Like you just called me the queen of having public sex or
Oh no, I just like to, I want our fandies to view you, our only fandies to imagine you having sex all over the place.
Right. So I'm going to talk about Barry. And when I was banging Barry, we were friends. We started banging. It was great. We were like, and then I like went home with him for Passover, met his parents, and I was like, uh-oh, he thinks this is something it's not. We need to have a talk. So I said to Barry in a cab on a ride home, I was like, we need to talk. I just feel like this might be heading in a certain direction, like towards a relationship, and I'm not there. And I want to, if we want to continue just having fun, like that's great. Or maybe we should stop, like, you know, just whatever is good. Like I laid it all on the line, and Barry goes, yeah, that's fine. We can stop. And I didn't know what to say. And I was like, so is it like, that's cool. Like we can still be friends. He's like, yeah, of course. We'll still be friends. It's fine. And I was like, he said, what's your reaction right now? Like you're having some reaction. And I was like, so you're not in love with me? And Barry burst out laughing. He was like, no, not at all. And I was like, oh yeah, good. Yeah, just making sure. Okay. And that was how I broke up with Barry. But it was like, we were both like, yeah, we've had our fun. But I think lines were getting blurred for both of us. Like, why was I at your house for Passover? That's not how this should go.
Right. Well, there is that, right? If there's certain assumptions that you make, like I was always fine, you know, like if I was just having fun, like I didn't even need to introduce that person to my friends, but that didn't always go so well for me.
Right.
I did a lot of secret shame dating,
yes.
You know?
Well, yeah, I did. Yeah. I have done that as well. But that was just, I love that example because I was just convinced like, well, he must be developing deep feelings for me. Poor guy. And no,
I love that.
No, he wasn't. So.
Oh, God.
Hi, Barry.
That's so great. Okay. Barry, we love you. And good on you, Barry, for knowing, you know. Okay, I'm just going to do one more. All right, we'll just do one more. All right. So here's a Brené Brown quote. There is no innovation and creativity without failure, period. All right. This is Mandy Kaplan's advice. Mm-hmm. You have tried something 10 times. It has failed every time. Do you keep going? And if so, how? What are your tips?
You must change your approach. And I know it's an old-fashioned thing to say, but I would say change the tape, right? Don't do it again the same way you've been doing it. But if you are trying to write a novel, you have to shake things up. And whatever that means, like start over from scratch or go take a trip to Europe and get inspiration or whatever it is. But I can't watch people have the same conversation over and over and over. And that's personal, it's professional, all the things. When people get stuck in a loop, I have said to many people in my life whom I love dearly, you've been saying this in the same way for a long time. Please, change the tape and I'll be here and I'll listen to a new version of this, but you try something new. Is that harsh?
Try something new. And that... No, it's not harsh at all.
Still
my God.
Write your novel.
I mean,
I think write your secret novel, Mandy Fabian. But please don't tell me so I did it again. I rented the same cabin that I always rent. And I went there and I brought the same groceries and I sat down to write and I got writer's block. And I'm like, well, don't tell me this same story again. Please tell me a different story.
Yeah. Really good advice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Remember when we were going to do an advice podcast, but really it would be you giving the advice. And then I could just ask you questions.
Yes. It would be you going, yeah, I should have done that. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do one more.
Yeah.
Okay. You're overworked and can't take on another responsibility, even though you promised weeks ago you could. What do you say to your coworker, friend, whatever, who's counting on you to get it done?
This is how you're quitting the podcast. This is how you're couching it?
No.
You're like,
no, not at all. I just took, these are from the internet. I took questions that I saw people, like these are problems people have.
Mm-hmm. Well, but
yes, I do want to quit the podcast. So what should I say?
You struggle with saying no, and I'm always encouraging you to say no. And you are always spreading too thin and saying yes to everybody because you want to do it all. And
I'm way better than I used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. But so you have heard this advice from me many times. I will say it's okay that you committed. Your circumstances have changed. You need to explain that, yes, a month ago I thought I could, but now I can't. And I'm sorry. Maybe I could help next time. Maybe I could help in a different way. Can I write a check? That's a big one for me. Like, could I be helpful in some way without the time commitment and what I had promised just can't happen. And I'm sorry.
Do you ever say yes to things that you're like, oh, I don't really want to do that? Do you ever do that?
Besides sex? No. No.
Sorry, Jer. I asked the money question.
Not with Jer.
To the other people who are asking you to have sex?
Yes, of course. Do I say yes to things? Yeah, I mean, we all do, right? You have to come to my, whatever, my girls' night. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do it. And I'm like, okay, great. Maybe I'm not feeling it, but I wouldn't say yes to a long-term thing. If somebody said, I have a part-time job, do you want it? I wouldn't say yes if I didn't.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So the longer it's going to go on, the more likely you are to be like, no, no thanks.
For sure.
But a little quickie is, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's all wonderful. That really is I had this, that was the game.
Yes.
Of, are you better than Brené? And really good advice.
Thank you. I want to start my own cult. Like this is long overdue. If people would just follow my advice and then start dressing like me and growing their hair out.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could be the front woman for Brené's next book. You know what I mean?
Does she need a front woman?
And then just
she her own front woman?
She is. Yeah. But I'm just saying, you're very dynamic. You're good on camera. Maybe that could blend the
Bless your heart.
All right.
And
thank you.
And I am glad that you love her. Honestly, like I know it lights you up, it inspires you, and that's incredible. That's what makes you and me so different and so unique. Is right that she inspires you and lights you up, and I don't want any part of it. Of her.
Yes.
So I am going to assign you something for next week, and it came from logging into HBOMax to watch this and realizing that they have made a series of one of my favorite books in the vein of girls on trains who are gone and watching, and they're coming before and marrying after, and secrets and all of that. The book is called The Girl Before, and I read it years ago. Oh boy, you know it?
No, I don't know it. I just love the title.
Right. So it is now a series on HBO starring, I'm never going to get her name right, Gugu Mbatha? No.
Whoa. No idea, but I'll look it up.
Okay. And David Oyelowo?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oyelowo, I think. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But yes, I know the actor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Starring them. It is thriller, intrigue, and right up our alley. I think 3 or 4 episodes are already out, so I'm hoping by the time that we would watch more than just one. No pressure. But I'm excited to watch it. The Girl Before. Watch it with us, Fandies.
Fantastic. Oh, and I finished the thing about Pam. Really good.
Me too.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, I really liked it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's just stick to true crime and murder. I think that's really what we've learned here today.
Exactly.
All right. Till next week.
Love you.
I love you.